How to Deal with Difficult People by Gil Hassan, read by Avicenna. Part 1, Dealing with Difficult People. Chapter 1, Difficult People and Their Difficult Behavior. Who or what is a difficult person? It's anyone who leaves you feeling upset or let down, frustrated or angry, humiliated or confused, drained or despairing. A difficult people can be someone who behaves in an exploitative or unethical manner. They may be someone who creates a sense of distrust because they avoid saying what they really think or feel. A difficult person may be someone who refuses to cooperate with you. They may avoid taking responsibility and duck out of commitment. A difficult person can also be someone who is negative and critical. They find fault easily without offering any constructive or helpful alternative. Whether it's a manager who keeps moving the goalposts, an uncooperative colleague, or the difficult to please client. Your negative friend, sarcastic brother-in-law, critical parent, or the infuriating person at a call center, they all have one thing in common: they can be difficult to deal with. There are probably times when you wonder how an encounter can go awry so quickly, so you start to doubt your own perception, feel thrown off balance by the other person, and find yourself acting crazy when actually you are quite a nice person. Is it you or is it the other person? It's not always easy to tell if someone is deliberately being difficult or if it's just you who is struggling to deal with that person. You may have no trouble dealing with a hostile teenager, but you have real difficulty with a colleague who finds fault in everything you do. Perhaps you find it easy to accept your sister's negativity. The rest of the family find her draining, but find a friend's inability to be enthusiastic about anything the most challenging. What is difficult is one context may seem as nothing in another. An uncooperative colleague is a real struggle to deal with in a meeting, but one-to-one, you find it quite easy to negotiate with him or her. Sometimes it's not clear what exactly it is you are having to deal with for instance, although it's not pleasant when someone is being openly aggressive and hostile, you know just what you are dealing with. Too often, though, someone else's difficult behavior is difficult to identify. It's hard to nail down what exactly it is they are doing or saying that's so infuriating. What does someone else's behavior move from being irritating to infuriating? It can range from mild or transient to difficult behavior that is significant and persistent. Difficult behavior occurs on a continuum. At one end of the scale, difficult behavior can be overt, hostile, and aggressive. At the other end, it can be passive, uninvolved, and inactive. In the middle of this continuum is behavior in order that can be the most difficult to deal with, passive-aggressive. It is covert, dishonest, and manipulative. Let's look at this pattern of behavior in more detail. Openly hostile aggressive behavior. Aggressive behavior is the most overt, open type of difficult behavior. At its most extreme, openly hostile, aggressive behavior is harsh and forceful. It can be intimidating when someone is being openly hostile. They may shout, swear, and be abusive. They often overreact even to things that have little or no consequences to them. An openly hostile person may talk over and interrupt you or oppose you by dismissing your idea and opinion. They are unable to compromise with you and frequently lose it. Or he or she usually feels they have to prove things and push a point. They insist they are right, you are wrong, it's my way or no way approach. They are domineering and controlling and view the world through a self-centered lens. The more self-centered they are, the more difficult they are. Their steamroller tactic can leave you feeling like you have been flattened. Why do people behave like this? When someone is behaving in an aggressive, hostile way, it's because they want to make sure that things happen the way they want them to happen. Sometimes it's because their expectations have been thwarted and they are trying to claw back some control. Some people respond aggressively if they think they are being undermined or criticized. They may feel ignored, insecure, misunderstood, cheated, or put upon. They may be feeling impatient, upset, or just plain angry. Anger and aggression. It's useful to understand the difference between anger and aggression. Anger is an emotional and psychological state. A person can get angry about something but not necessarily respond in an aggressive way. For example, a political situation could make someone so angry that they respond by donating money to support a related cause. On the other hand, it's possible to be aggressive towards someone by muggling them. For example, without being angry at that person, aggressive behavior can be instrumental, aggressional, or impulsive. Aggressions. When someone uses instrumental aggression, they are using their aggression as an instrument. They are using aggression in a calculating way to get what they want. In contrast, when someone uses impulsive aggression, it's a reaction, a response to something that has happened to them. Impulsive aggression is an automatic response, an emotion-driven reaction. It is aggression stemming from a feeling of anger. A colleague who criticizes you in front of others is likely to use instrumental aggression to obtain promotion at your expense. Your wanting to thump him is impulsive aggression. Disguised hostility, passive-aggressive behavior. There is no mistakes. Openly hostile, aggressive behavior is direct and in your face. Disguised hostility and passive-aggressive behavior, on the other hand, is an indirect expression of what a person does and does not want. Passive-aggressive behavior can be one of the most difficult behaviors to deal with because it's expressed in obscure, underhand ways. The person may appear passive on the surface, but it's really acting out their resistance towards you in an indirect or hidden way. When someone is behaving with disguised hostility, they don't reveal their true motive, and you end up trying yourself in not trying to work out what's going on. You may find yourself getting upset and angry because you cannot be entirely sure it is just the fight, rather than saying that they do or do not want. A person who uses disguised hostility puts up a passive resistance to your idea and opinion, needs, and expectation in order to get their own way. They control situation and manipulate you without actually appearing to. Passive-aggressive verbal behavior. Typically, when a person is being passive-aggressive, they are ambiguous. They give mixed messages and are unclear about what they really mean. They may use sarcasm or felt hostile, joking and teasing, often followed by just kidding and deny there is a problem. If you get upset or offended by what they say, they may accuse you of overreacting rather than say what they feel or think. People who disguise their hostility usually mutter their dissent to themselves or use a nonverbal way of expressing their feeling, for example, by giving you the silent treatment, dirty looks, or rolling their eyes. A passive-aggressive person is good at being a victim, unable or unwilling to look at their own part in a situation. They will go silent and sulk and be silent in order to get attention or sympathy. If they can, they will find a way to blame others, avoid responsibility for their own feeling and emotion, and which, in fact, they've brought about by their own actions. Passive-aggressive actions and behavior. When it comes to tasks at home or work, a person using disguised hostility may or may not appear cooperative, but either way, they will do things to disturb or sabotage a task, activity, or project, often by creating confusion around the issue. He or she may decline to contribute their ideas, but when your idea and actions are not successful, they may respond with, "I knew it wouldn't work," in order to resist doing what you asked them to do. These people will stall, turn up late, drag their heels, and procrastinate. They will find excuses for delays and reason for not doing something, infant difficulty or complication, or forget about what they were asked to do. They can be deliberately inefficient, doing something badly, or living in incomplete. When a person is using disguised hostility in a passive-aggressive way, they may or may not be consciously aware of how manipulative and diffuse they are being. Whatever you are left feeling confused, upset, offended, or frustrated, you may even feel guilty. You think you have done something wrong, but you are not sure what. Disguised hostility is a form of conflict that does not allow either of you to engage sensibly in the issue. It avoids the real issues. Why do people behave like this? People usually express their hostility and resentment in the underhand ways because, for whatever reason, they feel unable to say directly what they really think, feel, or want. It's a dynamic bomb of fear of being controlled, fear of confrontation, hidden anger, and inability to demonstrate with people. They may lack the confidence to say what they do or don't want to do. If they have been discouraged or suffer in the past for openly expressing their feeling, anger, frustration, or disappointment, they will use less detectable ways to say what they think and feel. Whereas the passive person will simply accept the needs, feelings, and opinions of others. A passive-aggressive person is not happy to submit to others, but rather than assert themselves and stand up for themselves in direct, honest way, they resort to underhand tactic to get what they want. Almost all of our faults are more pardonable than the methods we think up to hide them. Typical passive-aggressive types are people who come across as having a victim mentality or who are persistently negative. The victim. This person imagines all slights against them, real or imagined, are intentional. They become upset at any hint of disapproval. They are sensitive to any indication that you don't like them or agree with them. You have to walk on eggshells around them in case you say or do the wrong thing and they accuse you of disrespecting them. Rejection or the expectation of it makes them hostile. Their reactive aggression is more likely to manifest in passive rather than overt aggression. The victim looks for signs of being excluded, but the irony is that in time, their victim mentality, their sensitivity and negativity does in fact cause others to avoid them. They may wallow in a feeling of self-pity because they believe that everyone else gets all the breaks. Victims are by nature martyrs too. They need to let you know how much they are suffering. They seek sympathy or attention by feigning or exaggerating at any difficulty of the persuasions they are experiencing. The negative person. Negative people often do not realize they are being difficult, but they quickly get on other people's nerves with their tendency to see or anticipate bad results or undesirable outcomes, difficulties, and problems. These people bring your mood down with their pessimism and general sense of distrust. They may also be chronic worries. What could be a minor problem for you and everyone else is a hopeless situation for them. Some people are so entranced in seeing the negative side of a situation that they leave no room for positive things to happen. Their negative attitudes and opinions can be contagious. They may dash your hopes and discourage your dream. Negative people can undermine your potential with their negative opinion of what you are capable of achieving, and beware if you give in and let their negativity define you. You will morph into their version of who you really are. Passive behavior. Passive behavior happens when a person does not express their true thoughts, feelings, opinions, or needs. This can manifest itself in different ways. A passive person may be a people pleaser rather than expressing what they really feel and want. They go along with what everyone else wants, seeking their approval, wanting to be liked, and unable to turn down their other people's demand. Instead of voicing their own opinion or making choices that will be controversial, unpopular, or could hurt feeling, they wait for others to speak first and then agree with pretty much everything the other says. They may be clingy and needy and lean on you more than they should. People pleasers are often placatory, appeasing, pacifying, and attempting to win others over, but their compliance can get irritating and difficult to deal with, especially when they overcome it themselves and let you down because they cannot say no to someone or something else. In this way, they end up damaging relationships rather than strengthening them. Passive behavior then can manifest itself by doing whatever others want, but it can also be evidenced by non-participation, not taking a part of or not taking responsibility. Initially, you may find those people agreeable and easy to get along with, but it soon becomes clear that they are not contributing, engaging, or taking responsibility. They rarely commit themselves or initiate activity, preferring instead to leave it to other people to get things to going and make things happen. They avoid decisions, leaving you feeling frustrated and their inability to engage. Passive verbal behavior. Typically, you may hear passive people say things like, I don't know, I don't mind, it's up to you, or whatever you think is best. But this response do not tell you what that person really feels, think, wants, or does not want. And because they are accepting and rarely disagree, you begin to doubt whether they mean it or even care. You may notice that they rarely stand up for what is wrong or right, back up you, or support you. They prefer to avoid friction of any kind. Why do people behave like this? A person may have developed a pattern of unassertive, passive behavior as a response to parent, teacher, sibling, or friends who were dominant and controlling or didn't allow the person as they were growing up to express their thoughts and feelings freely. They may think that others will be hurt, angry, or disappointed if they do not do what other people want. In fact, they may believe that they do not have the right to state their needs and opinion. They may be afraid of displeasing others and of not being liked and want to protect their nice guy or nice girl image. It may be that a person behaves in a passive way because they fear disapproval and derision from others for their decision and opinion, so they hand over control and responsibility to others. But a person may also behave in a passive way because they cannot be bothered, they are not interested, do not care, and simply have no desire to contribute and participate in a job. You have recognized someone in this description of difficult people and their behavior. We all know at least one person who leaves us feeling upset or let down, frustrated or angry, humiliated or confused, drained or despairing. Understanding how and why someone else is being difficult can give you a better chance of dealing with them. But just how much is it the other person? It's not always easy to tell if someone is deliberately being difficult or if just you who is struggling to deal with that person. Chapter 2. Is it you? We have looked at how other people think and behave. Now let's look at how you respond to other people. Tick any of the statements below that apply to you. If any one person thwarts my plan, I find myself thinking about how to get back at them. When I have to deal with a difficult person, I come away thinking about who won and who lost in the encounter. If someone hurts my feeling, I feel vulnerable and defenseless. I tend to feel helpless when a discussion or conversation does not turn out the way I expected it to. I sometimes envy others or even resent people who are persistent in getting what they want. When I am having a row or a disagreement with someone, it feels like they somehow turn everything around to be my fault. I totally give in to other people's needs and wishes, even though I don't really want to. I often get irritated when other people seem to get away with all sort of bad behavior. Other people often make plans without asking or including me. I get annoyed when other people are difficult or deliberately trying to win me up. I often feel that others do not appreciate me. When someone else has opposed me, I see things in terms of who was right and who was wrong. If someone criticizes me, I feel got at. I often go along with what other people think or want, even if I don't agree. I find it difficult to move on from an encounter with a difficult person, and I tend to keep going over who said what. The more statement you take, the more likely it is that you see the world in terms of me versus them. Often you may see the difficulties and problems you experience with other people as not my fault. There is not much I can do. He or she did this to me. To a greater or lesser extent, you may believe that when someone else is being difficult, they are deliberately setting you out to thwart you, to be uncooperative, to oppose you, or trip you up. You may feel powerless to do anything about it, or rather, you may feel powerless to do anything constructive and effective about it. And because you don't like feeling helpless, it's easy to blame the other person for what's gone wrong. The prima donna and her resentful sister. Take, for example, 32-year-old Daniel. Since he was a child, Daniel's older sister, Mary, has been indulged as a temperamental ballet dancer. The parents have been lenient with Mary and yielded to her wishes and whims. The mother, Carol, could have been an accomplished dancer too, but as Carol often tells people, she sacrificed her career to stay at home and bring up her children. Danielle is the dutiful daughter. To keep the mother happy, Danielle and her brother Luck found or text her every day and visit for lunch most Sundays. Not Mary. She visits when it suits her and gets their father to run her around like a taxi driver. Their parents give Mary money to attend many of Mary's performances. Minnie gets stroppy and sulk if she doesn't get her own way. Daniel thinks his sister is needy, demanding, and selfish. She finds it difficult to be nice when she sees Mary. Of course, how you respond to someone who is being difficult depends on several things. Who it is. Is it someone you know well? A friend, a family member, or colleagues? Is it someone who is always difficult with everyone and everything? Is he or she an authority figure, a parent, your manager, a dominant sibling or friend? Are they confusing or scaring you? Why? They are being difficult. To undermine or embrace you, are they simply having a bad day? Is it someone who is always difficult with everyone and everything? When they are being difficult. Are you having a bad day? Were you already feeling stressed or vulnerable? What they are being difficult about. Is it something you thought had been resolved and agreed upon? Is it an issue of great importance or a trivial thing? Where they are being difficult? In front of others, for example, or away from other people, so you have no one to back you up or witness the behavior and how you are feeling. Are you feeling tired or stressed? Do you lack of confidence to deal with him or her, or are you unsure of your rights? No matter who, what, why, where, and when they are being difficult, if you are finding them difficult, then they are going to be difficult for you to deal with. You could simply resign yourself to their behavior, or you could confront them either in a direct way or in a direct underhand way. There are advantages and disadvantages to these three ways of responding. Resign, accepting responses. If, for example, someone is mean, nasty, or unfair towards you, you may accept their behavior or simply withdraw, rather than say what you think and feel, want or do not want. In order to avoid confrontation, you stay quiet. You may go along with someone even if you do not agree with them. You don't stand up for what is right or wrong, and or how you want to be treated. Why would you respond like this? Like Danielle, you might think that others will be hurt, angry, or disappointed if you stand up for yourself and challenge them. Perhaps you think they will reject you. Resigning yourself to difficult people and accommodating them can lead them to disrespect you, take advantage, or exclude you. However, this accommodating approach can be useful for a number of reasons. When it's more important to keep the relationship rather than argue the issue, you need to avoid physical harm from the other person. When the issue is more important to the other person than it is to you, you want to avoid an escalation of the situation. When it's better for the other person to do what they want and discover for themselves that they are wrong when you realize you are wrong. And directly confrontational, hostile responses. When you are accommodating toward a difficult person, you simply accept uncomplainingly their action and behavior. On the other hand, if you are unhappy about or resent what someone else says or does, but are reluctant to assert yourself, you may respond in avoidant, underhand ways. You may respond indirectly to someone else's difficult behavior. You may, for example, be sarcastic, moan, and complain about the person to other people. Why would you respond like this? You might express your resentment in direct ways because it will not be safe or acceptable to express your needs, opinion, feeling, or would be considered rude or selfish. Perhaps you don't have the confidence to say what you really think, or you don't have the confidence to deal with the consequences of saying what you think and feel. Rather than be direct, you have found less detectable ways to express your resentment and dissatisfaction with the other person's difficult behavior. Although this avoidant approach does not really let others know what you honestly think and feel, want or do not want, it's useful if you want to. Avoid an escalation of the situation, avoid a full-on confrontation, protect your interests, protect yours or someone else's safety, style for time. Direct, confrontational, hostile responses. A direct confrontational responses means being insistent and meaningful, being loud and forceful, shouting, swearing, attacking. Why would you respond like this? It could be as a result of being undermined, ignored, misunderstood, cheated, put upon, or humiliated over a long or even short period. Often, other people's difficult behavior can be the last straw, the last in a series of event that finally makes you feel that you cannot continue to accept a bad situation. For example, someone is often rude to you and you have let it go, but when they insult a member of your family, it is the final straw. You snap. Although an aggressive, confrontational approach can lead to an escalation of a difficult situation, it can be an effective response if you need to. Take immediate control of the situation, succeed in overpowering the other person, outdo the other person and win, make something happen quickly, and take quick decisive actions to defend yourself. Blaming other people. As you can see, there are advantages and advantages to responding in resigned, direct, or indirectly confrontational way. To often told, rather than take responsibility for responding in these ways, when you cannot manage another person, you may justify what you said or did and defend yourself by blaming the other person, saying that their behavior made you respond like you did. She made me say that, or he made me do that. When you have a difficult encounter with someone else and you feel hurt, embarrassed, or angry, it's easier to feel that the other person is making you feel the way you do. In fact, this was Danielle's approach towards her family. They made her feel irritated and resentful. But blaming the other person for your responses undermines your ability to do anything about your situation. Why? Because if you really do feel it's their fault and that they provoke you, you are unlikely to look for helpful solutions. It's the other person's fault. There is nothing you can do about it. In fact, if you can blame them for their behavior then you don't have to change anything about yourself or the way you respond. It's the other person who needs to make the changes. This can be seen as a mistaken thinking. A math and spelling analogy is useful here. Imagine you misspell a word or miscalculate a math problem and get the wrong answer. Your mistaken thinking makes you believe if you are correct, that you have come to the right conclusion or answer. In the same way, your mistaken belief about how much power and control over people have over your responses and how little power you have gives you the wrong answer in a difficult situation, even though you think your thing is logical and correct. Is it true? Even though it often seems that way, people cannot make you feel a particular way. Others do not cause your feeling and emotion. You cause them yourself. Here is how. There are three aspects to an emotion. Physical aspect, the physical responses inside your body. For example, when you are scared, you might involve an increased heartbeat, a shallow, heavy breathing. Behavioral aspect, what do you do? The action you take, how you behave. For example, fight or flight when you are feeling scared. Cognitive aspect, your thoughts, belief, and expectation. For example, thinking I'm going to get hurt when you are feeling scared. Any one aspect of an emotion affects another aspect. So how and what do you think, what you believe or expect about a person or event or situation directly influence your feeling? Suppose, for example, you were given a parachute and were going to jump from a plane. How you thought about it, your belief, expectation, or perceptions would affect how you felt. If you had chosen to skydive and were looking forward to it, you will probably feel excitement. On the other hand, if you were having a jump because the plane was difficult, your thoughts, to belief, and expectation would be filled with feeling of fear. In the same way that skydiving can provoke thoughts and feeling, what others say and do may provoke feeling within you, but they do not cause your feeling. It's not what other people do that's the difficulty, it's how you interpret it. For example, if someone arrives late for an appointment and you feel that they are not bothered that you have been kept waiting, you may feel hurt. If instead you feel that their being late has cut down the time you plan to spend on something purposeful and constructive, you may feel frustrated. On the other hand, if your friend's lateness gave you half an hour of much needed peace and quiet, you may be pleased they were delayed and feel grateful. Are you aware of when you try to blame other people in situation? Taking responsibility for your responses to difficult people will help you better manage them. Why? Because if you take responsibility for your responses, then, like anything else that belongs to you, those responses are yours to manage, to influence and direct. Learned helplessness. The theory of learned helplessness suggests that if your experiences and interaction with other people or one particular person have turned out badly or negatively in the past, you may have learned to become helpless when dealing with a person or other people. You now believe, rightly or wrongly, that you have no control or are unable to influence or manage that person or people. This then becomes what is known as your explanatory style, your way of explaining your interactions and the results of your interaction with other people. The good news is that you can unlearn old beliefs and replace them with more positive ways of seeing things and explaining things. Understanding how and why you and other people behave in a certain way is the first step. Having positive expectation can also help. You can read more about positive expectation later in this chapter. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Expectation, values, and rights. We all have belief and expectation about the right and wrong way that others ought to behave toward us. When others fail to meet your expectation, you may feel disappointed, upset, or resentful. For example, Danielle expects her sister Mary to be less dependent on their parents. She believes Mary should take less and give more. You may expect your friend, for example, to be loyal, honest, and trustworthy, or perhaps you expect them to be fun and interesting. You may expect your colleagues to be cooperative and supportive. Your expectations underpin your ideas of what a good sister or brother should be, what a friend ought to be, how children, parents, colleges ought to interact with each other. If these expectations are not fulfilled, you may be disappointed, upset, or angry. If you internalize this feeling, you may respond in a passive, resigned way or in an indirectly confrontational, hostile way. On the other hand, if you externalize how you feel, you may respond in direct, aggressive ways, but you may also respond in a direct way that is honest and calm in an assertive way. More about that later. If you constantly have high expectation on how other people should behave and treat you, you are increasing the probability of being let down. On the other hand, if you have little in the way of expectation, it's likely that you will be taken advantage of. Our expectations tend to be more a matter of habit than conscious intention. Most of the time, we are completely unaware of how our expectation can create all sort of misunderstanding, conflict, and resentment. Where is it written that others must act the way we want them to? It may be preferable but not necessary. It's helpful to identify your expectation about how and in what ways you think other people should behave. How to do that? Start by identifying your value. Your values are ways of behaving that you think are worthy and are important to you. Read the list below and tick any value that you expect to see in other people. Affections: altruism, appreciation, clarity, commitment, compassion, consistency, cooperation, courtesy, decisiveness, determination, dignity, directness, discipline, discretion, duty, empathy, fairness, fidelity, generosity, gratitude, harmony, honesty, humility, independence. Integrity, kindness, loyalty, obedience, open-mindedness, professionalism, punctuality, reliability, respect, self-control, sincerity, support, trust, truth, understanding. Now choose the 5 values that are most important to you. Your main value guide the way you behave and interact with other people. Your values are the principle by which you live much of your life. Your values can also act as an anchor. They can be relied on to support and stabilize you. Your value also reflect your expectation about the way other people should behave. So if decisiveness and reliability are important to you, you will probably expect others to behave in the same way, to make clear decisions, to be definite, resolute, and determined, dependable, and committed. When other people do not behave in a way that reflect your value, when they do not behave in ways that you think are important, you may respond with disappointment, resignation, frustration, or anger. Problems occur if you expect a higher level of action or reaction that the other is either willing or capable of. When they behave differently from how you expect, you may think, what's the matter with them? What are they thinking to behave like that and to do that? But other people may not have the same value as you. This is not a failing on their part. It is simply strange on yours. Don't judge them by the same standard. It will not be fair. Hold yourself to that standard, but adjust your expectation and be more flexible in your thinking. Your expectations should be realistic. That is, they should be based on what is a real or practical way for someone to behave according to the context, the specific circumstances or situation that people involve. For example, although it may not be right, Mary's relationship and pattern of behavior with her parents have, over the years, become set. Danielle cannot change that. It would help Danielle if she were to adjust her expectation to recognize and accept that this is their way of relating to each other. Danielle cannot change that, but she can change the way she thinks about it. Rigid expectation can make you believe that things cannot be right unless people behave according to your expectation, but this makes your well-being dependent on their behavior. You set yourself up for negative interpretation of what's happening, and you are also placing the burden of your expectation on them, which then makes you the difficult person. Once you become aware of an unrealistic expectation, you are in a position to do something to free yourself from being dominated by